Marcus Aurelius spent years away from home, sleeping in military tents on the frozen frontier of the Roman Empire. He was the most powerful man on earth and the most isolated. He couldn't trust the people around him. He couldn't confide his doubts. He couldn't show weakness. And in that isolation, he discovered something most people search for their entire lives: a peace that doesn't depend on anyone else. From roughly 170 AD until his death in 180, Marcus Aurelius lived almost entirely away from Rome. The Marcomannic Wars, a series of brutal conflicts against Germanic and Sarmatian tribes along the Danube frontier, pulled him out of the capital and into a decade of military camps, frozen rivers, and war councils. He was surrounded by soldiers, advisors, and officers. But surrounded is not the same as connected. Marcus was the emperor. Everyone wanted something. Every conversation carried the weight of rank and political calculation. He could command armies, but he couldn't have a genuine conversation. His wife Faustina remained mostly in Rome. His children were far away. The philosophers who shaped him were dead or distant. The meditations were written during this period, and you can feel the isolation in the pages. These aren't the notes of a man in conversation with a vibrant community. They're the notes of a man talking to himself because there is no one else to talk to. And yet the meditations are not the writings of a depressed man. They're the writings of a man who found something inside the loneliness, not a cure for it, something better. A way to be alone without being empty. A way to carry silence without it crushing him. In Book 4 of the Meditations, Marcus describes the practice that made this possible. He writes, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." He goes on to say that people are constantly searching for retreats. Country houses, seashores, mountains, places to escape the noise and pressure of their lives. But the best retreat is always available. You carry it with you. It's inside your own mind. Marcus called this the inner citadel, a fortified space within you that cannot be breached by external events. Not by insults, not by loss, not by loneliness. The walls of this citadel are built from your principles, your values, your understanding of what is and is not within your control. And as long as those walls hold, nothing outside can reach you. This wasn't an abstract metaphor for Marcus. It was a daily practice. When the noise of the court became unbearable, he retreated inward. When the pressure of command felt crushing, he retreated inward. When the loneliness of the frontier made the nights feel infinite, he retreated inward, not to avoid reality, to meet it from a position of stability instead of desperation. The inner citadel is not isolation. It's the opposite. It's the cultivation of a self so grounded, so settled in its own principles, that it can engage with the world without being destroyed by it. Marcus didn't withdraw from people. He withdrew into himself so that his engagement with people would come from strength instead of need. There is a distinction the Stoics understood that modern culture has almost completely lost: the distinction between solitude and loneliness. Loneliness is the feeling of being disconnected against your will. It's wanting company and not having it, wanting to be understood and feeling invisible. It's being in a room full of people and still feeling alone. Loneliness is a deficit. Something is missing and the absence hurts. Solitude is something entirely different. Solitude is chosen, it's deliberate. It's the experience of being alone and finding that the company of your own mind is sufficient, not as a consolation prize, as a genuine form of peace. Marcus experienced both. He was lonely in the ways any human being would be, separated from his family, cut off from genuine connection, unable to be vulnerable. But he also cultivated solitude. He chose to spend time with his own thoughts. He used the silence not as punishment, but as material. The meditations themselves are the product of solitude. Every passage was written by a man sitting alone, turning inward, and finding something worth recording. The modern world has made solitude almost impossible. Your phone fills every quiet moment with noise. Social media offers the appearance of connection while delivering the reality of comparison. You're never actually alone, which means you never get the chance to discover what Marcus discovered. That being alone with a well-ordered mind is not a curse. It's a sanctuary. We're living through what public health experts have called a loneliness epidemic. And it's worth understanding why, because the Stoics diagnosed the root cause 20 centuries before the data confirmed it. Studies consistently show that loneliness is increasing even as connectivity tools multiply. We have more ways to reach each other than at any point in history, and people report feeling more isolated than ever. The average person has fewer close friends than their parents did. The Stoic explanation is straightforward. We've built our lives around external connection and neglected internal connection. We reach outward constantly, for validation, for entertainment, for distraction, but we almost never reach inward. The result is that we become dependent on other people for something only we can provide, a stable relationship with our own mind. Marcus would say this is the source of the epidemic, not that people lack company, but that people lack themselves. They've never built the inner citadel. They've never learned to sit in silence without reaching for a screen. They've never discovered that the quietest place in the world is available to them at all times, free of charge, requiring nothing but the willingness to go inside and stay there for a few minutes. The loneliness epidemic isn't caused by too little connection. It's caused by too little self-connection. And no amount of social media, no number of followers, no string of plans on the calendar will fix a problem that lives inside you. So how do you build this inner citadel? How do you cultivate the kind of inner peace that Marcus found on the frozen Danube frontier? Marcus would tell you it starts with silence. Not meditation retreats or elaborate rituals, just silence, 5 minutes at first. No phone, no music, no input of any kind, just you and the inside of your own head. If that feels uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is diagnostic. It tells you exactly how far you've drifted from yourself. The person who can't sit in silence for 5 minutes is a person who has been running from their own thoughts for a long time. And the running itself is what creates the loneliness. You can't feel at home inside yourself if you refuse to spend time there. The second step is to define what your inner citadel is built from. Marcus built his from Stoic principles, the dichotomy of control, memento mori, the common good, the discipline of perception. What are yours, not borrowed affirmations, not someone else's values copied from a podcast, your actual principles, the things you believe deeply enough that they hold even when everything else shakes. Write them down. Those are your walls. The third step is to return, not once, daily. Marcus retreated inward every morning and every evening. He made it as routine as eating, because the inner citadel, like any structure, requires maintenance. It doesn't stay strong on its own. You strengthen it every time you visit, and it weakens every day you avoid it. Here's your challenge. Today, spend 15 minutes in complete silence. No phone, no music, no podcast, no distraction. Just sit with yourself in a quiet room and see what happens. If your mind races, let it. If uncomfortable thoughts surface, let them. If the silence feels unbearable, notice that. That feeling is information. It's the distance between you and your inner world. And the only way to close that distance is to sit in it, not run from it. 15 minutes. That's less than 1% of your day. And it's the beginning of something Marcus Aurelius spent 19 years building. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful and the most isolated man on earth. And in that isolation, he didn't collapse. He built an inner world so complete that even the frozen Danube frontier couldn't reach him. You don't need a frontier to build what he built. You just need 15 minutes and the willingness to go inside. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. If this changed how you think about loneliness and inner peace, subscribe for more ancient wisdom that still works today. Drop a comment telling me how the 15 minutes of silence went. I read every single one.